What's good, Joe? Welcome to another Anything by Manson Cannon. I'm Manson, and today I'm really excited to have my guest, Stanley Peavy, discuss with you all and share with you all exactly how he got to his role. And what's his role? He has a role in IT, in which, frankly, is what our world is focused on, which is creating websites that allows you to be interested in said website. You know how you're addicted to your iPhone and Facebook and IG and all those different things. He learns a lot of information to help build companies to be successful at bringing your interest to something that you were already interested in. So let's learn a little bit more about it. This guy asked him before we got started, so we're going to have to dig into this too. He let me know that he could make a Facebook, and a lot of people could, but why don't we? Nonetheless, let's get to today's interview. I'm so excited to have you, man. Thank you for your time. How you doing, bro?
Oh, I'm married. I can always be better. That's my icebreaker, especially when I go on a job. Sorry, I'm used to it. That's what I lead with.
All good, all good. Well, let's do some house cleaning and make sure that everyone knows the truth.
Yep.
Because this is the most important thing. And or is what I'm allowed to interview, which is do you like your job?
Of course. I love it. That's why I do it.
Okay. That's why I had to check, because frankly, there's a lot of people that hate their jobs, and we can't be promoting professions that's going to lead to a person despising Mondays. With that being said, when you were a little kid, the first job profession, it can be ridiculous. It does not have to be serious. What was the first thing that you wanted to be when you grew up?
Actually, it was more of a broad statement. All I said was, I want to work on computers. That's it. As a kid. Didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't know if I was talking about networking websites. I didn't know if I was talking about hardware. All I know is I kept telling my mom, whatever it is, I'm working on websites, on computers. So kind of worked out.
Okay, I'm baffled. For people who can see me and who aren't just listening to this, my face is confused, because when we grew up, we had dial-up at best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not this stuff where you don't have to wait for buffering unless you're in a really bad Wi-Fi zone. Like, we had this thing that you had to load that thing up and then come back to the computer like 20 minutes to watch 5 minutes, maybe really 2 minutes of a video. And this is pre-YouTube. So how old were you when you had made this decision, and what gave you this idea? Because I just don't see it. Like, I couldn't even fathom this idea. I saw these big, massive computers that were like the size of a freaking hotel room. So what were you, what was going on? How old were you?
Let's just say I was into things that I shouldn't have been at the time. So as a little 9, 10, 11-year-old kid in elementary school, they always had these computer classes where you go in, learn how to type. Back then we had Ask Jeeves. Who remember Ask Jeeves? I'm dating myself, right? So we had that, and they had a bunch of parental stuff on there that stopped kids from doing stuff. I knew how to get in, change it, do whatever. So
Then we also we could play the video games on the computer, and we used to act that. We were like, "No, I'm about to go look up." It was the East Bay book, so we could find the.
Oh yeah, that was
we would be all in there.
That was me. So finally, a teacher walked up on me, and I used to have scripts that I would click on them, and they would instantly close all my windows out and everything. And Ask Jeeves would teach me how to do all this stuff. And right then, I'm like, Mom, I think I know what I want to do. Not knowing that was the stupid way of saying it back then because of how many aspects there are to IT, but that's where I landed.
Nah, I mean, that was spot on, because you figured it out, and we gonna definitely figure out how you figured it out and what all took place. But nah, that's not stupid. It's like the kid who wants to get in construction. Many people say they want to be construction workers, never realizing that construction work is an industry. It's just a general term. Like, you have tradesmen, all the different trades, electricians, plumbers, and then you have the actual masons. Like, no one is actually a construction worker. They do construction work, but you have to have a more specific title. So it wasn't stupid. It's just where a kid's mind is, and with exposure leads to expansion. And frankly, you clearly expanded into exactly what you hope to be. And I'm sure there's more that you're going to become. You mentioned Ask Jeeves. So that is the equivalent of Linda today, right? And that's with the Y for anybody who's listening.
No, that's the equivalent of Google today.
Oh my God, it was.
Yes.
Yes, it was. Oh, okay. True. It threw me off when you said you were learning from Ask Jeeves. It's similar to people saying Google it and you were learning off Google. I got you. That's on me. Because I'm thinking like, yeah, well, today a younger version of you would be on Linda getting even more detailed information on how to break down things and way more technical with the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What was going on in your household? I gotta ask that for a young black kid to think I want to be in IT. I mean, not want to be a professional athlete, not be an entertainer in general, but I want to be in technology.
Well, for
did
me,
you have a computer in your house? Because I got a computer like when I was like 10. It had a floppy disk in it, and I didn't know what the heck to do with it.
My mom went and bought one of those old desktop, big monitor,
the big booty on it.
Stone when you set it on top of the desk. She was very strict, so I stayed in the house all the time, and it was either watch TV, play the Dreamcast, or tinker around with her desktop. We didn't have many funds back then, so games came a dime a dozen. Mm-hmm. So I ended up messing around with her desktop, and again, I bypass a lot of stuff, ordering stuff with some of her accounts that she left on there, and got caught again. So she ended up shoving it off the desk one day, and it fell apart, fell into a bunch of pieces. And she put it in a garbage bag, set it down. She went to work that night because she worked third shift. She came back the next morning. I put it together, and it worked. It might not have been assembled the way it was before she kicked it off the table, but the screen lit up. I was able to do whatever I wanted to do, and even then she started helping me. She started buying computers for dummies, those kind of books and stuff like that, and I kind of expanded from there.
Okay, that's intriguing because we all had that moment, or a lot of us at least. I knew Magic School Bus made me interested in becoming an inventor. I still have that desire. I just don't have the resources. And once I do, then I'm going to invent something. I've had a couple things in my mind for years that I would love to invent. And I remember with Magic School Bus and wanting to invent, I remember I've put together headphones that just died on me. I remember the first thing I ever fixed were my mother kept buying me Walkman. And then I had a CD Walkman. You know what I mean? Walkman was the cassette tape. So I had that. And then I got the CD player, the mobile CD player. And it just started because I would run. I was an athlete. I played basketball with it. And there's a commercial right now. Like nothing's worse than running with a CD, man. And so I had that and it kept breaking. And my mother just, I knew I couldn't ask her again. I'm like, she's buying too many of these. I'm starting to feel bad. We don't have a whole lot of money to be just doing stuff like that. So one day I was like, it's sitting there, bro. Might as well try to fix it. And for everybody who also heard what he said about putting some stuff together and fixing it, this was during a time period when people were figuring out how to create computers that allowed them to play video games at the same time on it. And it was like these people were geniuses and growing up to be, I don't know. And also want to highlight when he's talking about hacking, don't sit here and frown your face up, because the number one hacker for real, was and frankly is currently Zuckerberg. If you ever watch The Social Network, his story, he was hacking. That's how he really got started.
Oh, the dude that went to jail and got out.
No, you're talking about Facebook, the Facebook founder, Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, well, I know there's a dude that literally the FBI hired him. He kept hacking the White House, and he did.
Oh, you talking about Snowden?
Yeah, I can't remember his exact name, but he did it a couple of times, and they were like, "Well, since you know how to get in so well, we'll give you a job." So
yeah. Well, not Snowden, but nonetheless, there's people who know how to do that, and they're very, very useful for the good guys as well as useful for the bad guys. But if the good guys get to them in advance, they can show them how the bad guys might use them. So these are skills that can be used in great ways. So don't just thumb your nose to it. And there's a whole bunch of little villains out there, as well as some future billionaires that are listening, like, go on. Well, let's go ahead and let's talk high school into college. Was there anything significant in high school that helped you get a little bit more clarity about what you wanted to do, or any clarity on what should be the move into college? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't really have a whole lot. I got a psychology degree because people came to me for advice all the time. And then I really lost interest in psychology. And then somehow I still got into the industry after all.
As far as high school, I can, if I'm being totally transparent, I totally dropped the idea of working on computers at that time. I was in the sports, I was in the shoes, I was in the things like that. It wasn't until immediately after high school that I started working for a logistics company. Mm-hmm. And it was taxing on the body. So I started trying to figure out ways to make more money. And
when you say logistics company, explain to them what a logistics company is, and then continue to talk about what you need to do to make money.
No problem. A logistics company is a moving and packaging company. So that would be your equivalents of your DHL, your UPS, your FedEx, your USPS, those type of businesses. So I used to work for one. And that was before the machines that would take a box, send it down the line, package it, and tape it up for you. And all you had to do was stick a label on it. I'm talking about the days where you had to get out there with a big saran wrap roll of something and run around a box 30 times until you get it wrapped up. And it was then I'm like, I got to do something. So from there, 2011-ish, I want to say, to into 2010, 2011, I enrolled in Cincinnati State. And that's where the journey began. And even then, I walked in and I talked to my first advisor and I said, I want to work on computers. And she looked at me and said, I can tell you right now, if I was your hiring manager, this conversation would end right now, because I can tell you don't know nothing about what you're talking about. And
she said this to a person coming into college?
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't need you to be my hiring manager. I need you to be my training manager, and then we can figure out the next move. I don't understand that.
I think her position in my life at that time was very important, because for IT, there are several different tracks, but the two main ones are software development and networking. And I didn't know that walking in, and that made a big difference in why I'm sitting in the position that I am now. So her next follow-up question was, what do you see yourself doing with this degree? And me still being young and naive, I told her, I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to have an internet connection. And if I want to go to Aruba and sit on a beach and just open up my laptop and work from right there.
Hey.
She said, I can tell you right now, networking is out, because you have to be on-prem in order to do anything networking. You have to.
What's networking?
That's your Wi-Fi. So when you're in home and your Wi-Fi connection goes down and you're calling one of your ISPs, internet service providers.
Yeah, Spectrum and
right. Yeah. And you have somebody come out and they're like, well, here's the problem. There was a cord not all the way in the wall. I have to be on premise in order to do that. So I told her, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to be tied to a location. Yeah. So she said, well, networking is out, which would also include your hardware and all of that. So she said, you're looking for software development. That's where you can be anywhere on the planet, as long as you got somewhere you can upload your work to and it can be combined with other people's work. You're working. So I'm like, okay, I'll try this out. So I started out going for computer engineering. I was in over my head. I was totally in over my head. That was so real
the way you said it. I was over my head.
Again, if I'm going to be transparent, I'm going to give it all to you. So I was in over my head because that's very math heavy, and I'm good at it. But once I started getting into different levels of calculus, I started to fade very fast. Not to mention that at Cincinnati State, the environment wasn't the environment that I needed to keep me flying straight. So from there, the end of 2011, going into 2012, I transferred to UC. Walked in and sort of asked the same kind of questions, but with a little bit more direction. And I'm like, well, I still want to do software development, but computer engineering isn't it. And come to find out, that's more of the thinking realm of IT. You're thinking on how these things are how different applications are going to talk to each other and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not with the math. I can't do the math. So she took me in another direction of information technology and said, here are the doers of what the engineers are thinking. So you're the one on the front lines building the websites and stuff like that. So I'm like, sure, sign me up. So I start out still a little rocky because my mind wasn't in the right place. So it took me from 2012 to 2018 to finish that degree. It was a 5-year program. So even though I graduated a little late, I took about a year off, and 2 of those semesters, I still had the same mentality that I had at Cincinnati State, thinking I can go have fun, poke around. Got over that very quick once I started seeing Navient come through the mail. And got my life on track.
I call it Navient. That's the loans. If you ain't go to school, if you ain't still in school, your loans are no longer deferred. They want their money.
Yeah.
As long as you're in school, they can keep racking up bills and they're not going to charge you at the time. But once you get out after like 6 months, run it.
At the time, I think I was like 3 years into my degree, and the first payment, they were like, yeah, we need $600 from you. I'm like, you're not getting that while I'm working at Rally's. It's not going to happen.
Hey, hold on. Because you said so much that I want to definitely point out. So
yep.
You mentioned, first off, that you went to Cincinnati State. You took some years off and you worked in logistics. So you did it sound like about, I'm guessing you said 2-3 years before you went back to school?
Oh, no, it was all fluent. I went from Cincinnati State to UC.
No, I meant from high school. I meant from high school. It sounded like
oh yeah. I am a product of dropping out. I dropped out of high school.
Okay.
So I moved from Alabama, got here, and come to find out, Ohio and Alabama are not on the same level for as academics. And they're like, yeah, you got to repeat pretty much your entire 12th grade year. And I said, no, I'm not. Yeah. And I've had that mentality. I can just go get me a logistics job and make $12 an hour, and I'll live life that way until you find out life calls for a lot more than that. So that's why I ended up transitioning and going to college.
That sounds, so you got your GED in the process. Yep. Was it hard to get your GED? Was it
no.
You took the test and you were done?
Literally, you walk in and some of those questions are I can't even explain how simple they are. So there are 7 continents. Which one of these are not a continent? And one of them is cow. And you're like, okay, I'll choose that option. And before you know it, I have my GED.
Okay, we get the idea. It was a cakewalk. You cut the cake, you ate it, and you got on to the next thing.
Right.
And that's why when you went to college, you had a little bit of learning. But I'll say this. I remember, and we talked about this offline, I remember being from Cleveland. You had Cleveland, not Cleveland State. Cleveland State's a solid school. But we had Cuyahoga Community College, Tri-C. And I remember in high school, went to East High, it's closed now. When I went there, you would hear people crack a lot of jokes about Tri-C this, Tri-C that, because it was a community college. And you really talk down on it. But now as an adult, it's such a slept on opportunity for those who don't recognize it. I mean, yeah, you can get a lot of foolery in here because you do have some of the people that are trying to get their life together and there's a reason they went there. But there can be an alternative to this reality, which is I don't feel like spending all that money on those first 2 years of college. I'm trying to save. I'm a solid student. I want my money and I want as much of it after I get out of college by not having as much debt as possible. So you go to a community college for 2 years, get an associate's degree, and then transfer. And then get your bachelor's degree, same 4 years. And if you're in the city that you want to go to the big school for, guess what? You can go to that campus and study if you wanted to. You can go to that campus and build relationships while you're preparing to go there. So like, I definitely hear you talking about Cincinnati State, but Cincinnati State is such a great opportunity to save money, to build the education, and pretty much create a foundation. Now, there's certain elements of being a freshman in college that I'm not going to acknowledge. I'm not going to just poo-hoo. There was a great value of being in the dorms with your class that you came in with and building that relationship. But you can do that at Cincinnati State. And you can reestablish that if you transfer to a larger school. And you said another thing, which is so real. You mentioned the focus. You didn't say it, but I heard it, because having been an athlete and seeing enough people drop off teams and fell out, and having enough people that weren't on teams and just failed out. The hardest part about college in many cases, man, is focus. It's so much to do.
Yes, sir.
You look up, and truth be told, you got 5 classes, which equals 15 hours, 3 hours a week. So you can do the math. You can get 3 days a week, where it's 1 hour, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or you can get Tuesday and Thursday, which is an hour and a half, or you can get a night class, which is 3 hours straight. Now, with these options, you got 5 classes. You probably only got 2 classes to 3 classes a day. That's a lot of time in your day that you can do anything. If you don't have the focus, you ain't doing the right thing. And it's so easy because you're so free and nobody's really on you, unless, you got athletes like my former lifestyle, like I was. And you also have other people who have great mentors and advisors who's on them. But generally speaking, the average college student ain't got that. So it's easy to drop out. And it's not because school is hard. Because it don't sound like outside of calculus, which sucked. And I remember failing my first test, which was statistics. Bruh. I had a statistics test. We had 2 a days. I had to be up at 5:30. I ran a mile at 6. We were lifting until we ran the mile, 2 miles or whatever around the UC, did some stretching, and then by 7:50, we worked out. So by 8 o'clock, I'm headed to class. I've been up for 2 hours working out. Bro, I'm tapped. I got nothing in me. I'm going to a statistics test for the first one. I took a Monster. Now, I never drank alcohol. Yes, I'm a freshman, but you know how college students get. Never had alcohol. I wasn't living that life. And I drank a Monster. When people see me even to this day, if you give me an energy drink, it's almost like I'm wasted. I'm like wired. Like, oh, let's go. And I'm already 0 to 1,000 without anything. Like, you can see me at a party like, is he all right? Nah, he just like to have fun. That's him. And bro, I took that Monster. I'm on the test shaking. Like, I'm looking at this thing and I'm immediately going through my life. You're going to fail out. You're not going to make the team. They're going to cut you because your grades. You ain't supposed to be here. You didn't have the greatest ACT. That's why you didn't take the SAT. You was too scared. You was too scared to take the SAT. You ain't supposed to be here. You thought you was going to prove something. Bro, I couldn't even think on that test. I'm shaking. I failed that test. It was a wrap, son. I dropped that class. I ain't gonna hold you. I came back because I had to come back, and I
underestimated statistics as well.
But yeah, I dropped that class. I ain't gonna hold you. I was like, yeah, I think I dropped.
Yeah, next.
yeah, that was a heck of a semester, but I tightened up. I had Dean's List several quarters, so don't get it confused. Athlete.
Oh yeah, I got a couple of them letters still laying around here too.
All right. I just had to get that out of the way because you said a lot, man, and I want to put things in context because for you, it's your life, but it's also a testimony. You may not know the testament that you are to others. And so somebody sometimes has to point that out because of the value. I mean, it's really dope, frankly, to hear somebody say, I got my GED after dropping out, and then I'm in the job that I told my mom that I wanted to be in as a child. Like, if somebody want to look down, they ain't never looked up enough. Because you standing right where you supposed to be. It ain't got to be where everybody else want to be. It's where you want to be. So that's dope. So let's keep going. You just got to UC at this point.
So I got to UC end of 2011, early 2012. I only took 1 semester off. I went part-time for the first 3 to 4 years that I was there. I wish I would have went full-time, but I went part-time. To keep my head in the game, I stayed on campus because I knew if I left campus, I wasn't going to focus on anything. I joined the best fraternity on earth.
Aua.
What was that?
I said aua.
Oh yeah.
It's a part of the chant if you didn't know.
And so I did that. Then finally 2018 come around, I graduated. But when I graduated, I was working at my first internship, which so happens to be a logistics company.
Is this TQL?
No.
Okay, TQL was hunting all of us when we were graduating. That's why I just want to let y'all know. If y'all didn't know, TQL was on it, and they're a top company in Cincinnati. I don't know all the extra details.
They are. They really.
They've been a top logistical company, and it's. I know some people that's really done some numbers financially with that company. So that's why I just guessed that one.
So, what did you want to know about my first internship?
What you gonna tell us? Because it sounds like you got a story to tell.
You. So
short.
To get my foot in the door, and I hate to say this for a lot of people that's coming up in this field, it's a lot of who you know than it is what you know, and what the real need is. So for my first internship, I thought I was going to build websites, and I mean blog sites, the stuff you see people have fun with and tinker around with. Mm-hmm. So in my first interview, I'm sitting there and I'm like, here, this is what I can do. The prior 2 nights, I end up building a website from scratch. You can literally get to it through the web and everything. And he let me ramble on for 45 minutes and said, oh, all that's good and dandy, but I don't need you for that. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I need you for QA. And for a lot of people that don't know, the nickname for a QA is button pushers, because literally that's what we are. That means someone else does all the work, gives us the application, and we sit there and do what any average Joe would do on a day-to-day basis, like you would do on your Facebook app. You would log in, you would like posts, you would share things, you would save videos for later. It's my job as a QA person to go in and make sure all of that functionality works. If it does not, I push it back over the table and say, your stuff is broken, figure it out. Now, for anybody looking for job security, that is the best job security ever. One, no one wants to do it because it's like watching paint dry. You're sitting there and it's literally click, 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 that worked. Check, click, click. Oh, that didn't work. Here, this is what's wrong with it. This is what happened when I did it. Fix it. So it's good job security, but it doesn't pay as much. And in Cincinnati, the range for QA at the bottom is around 20 to 32K. But again, if it's light work, it'll get the bills paid, but you're sitting in one chair all day for 8 to 12 hours, and you're just clicking away to see what breaks and reporting it when it does. So luckily, because of the company that I was in, it was a small mom and pop shop. So they let me do different aspects in IT. So my next job was a root cause analyst. So my job in that position was to find the root cause as to why something was broken. So for example, say you log into Facebook, scratch that. For example, say you creating your username and password for Facebook and it breaks. You get a big red screen or something like that.
What do you mean it breaks?
It throws you an error message.
As in you didn't put the right characters in there?
Right.
Okay.
So I can go and talk to the developer and he's like, look, I spent countless hours on that. It should be working. Why is it not working? Okay, give me the database and give me the code. Let me look through it and I'll tell you why it's not working. And oh, this is why. You didn't account for the underscore. Out of all the special characters out there, you didn't account that Mario would use a underscore in his password. That's why it's broken. Mm-hmm. So with that, you go up a notch. So for a root cause analyst, you're looking anywhere from 30 to 40K. It's the flip side of QA, but at least you're giving the why as to why something is broken. So
Yeah.
that's
Where
like
were
a
you?
million. Well, what's up?
Where were you on that scale?
I was at the time, I was on the high end because they love me there. So I was making 42K at the time.
Okay. Just for clarity, you keep saying Q&A. What is that acronym?
Question and answers.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm. But you said button pushing, so by saying button pushing, it threw me off of the Q&A. I'm like, I don't see where button pushing comes in with Q&A. But okay, yeah, we're on the same page. I got you. Keep going.
And then the next job I had was still at the same location, but I jumped another title. And from there, I became an IT specialist. And an IT specialist is basically saying you are utility mind. So what that means is you can do a little bit of everything. You can do database work. You can do networking. I've done networking. I've done project management. I've done root cause analysis. I've been in QA. You name it, I've put my hands on it. And I took a step back because I wasn't doing what I really wanted to do in that position. So with that being said, I ended up leaving that job on good terms. I love that job. I would always go back if they need me, which I did. But I went to CFC, and there I ended up being a QA lead. So that means I'm still in QA, but I have 12 people that report to me. And we can test a wide range of applications at once instead of me doing one at a time by myself. Mm-hmm. Now, the range for a Fortune 500 company for a QA lead is upwards of 60K.
Oh, okay. See, there's a theme here. I'm noticing you just got to cross over from that small to corporate. If you want to get your foot in the game, matter of fact, let's say that right off rip, because I keep talking about people needing experience to get experience. And unfortunately, the common thing that not just shows up in these interviews, but in a lot of people's lives is you got to go to the smaller company, get that experience, and then cross it over. Because even if you go up to director of some of these positions in these smaller companies, you could take a step back title-wise, or even actually in what you're doing. But when you go into a corporate job, you can be making $10,000, $15,000, 20 plus more than what you were making as a director at a position just because they got way more money. Keep going, bro. I just had to make sure that was clear. So you took a step back, it sounds like, from the IT specialist back to Q&A.
Yes, I did.
Were you doing the same thing as you were at the other Q&A job?
No, I was actually managing my QA specialist. I was an actual manager at this time. All right. So I stayed there for roughly a year. And most people say, well, why? I'm like, well, once again, I wanted to gain more skills to better myself in what I'm doing. So I gained some skills, gained some time under my belt, and the company I left, I went back to. But this time I went back as a project manager, an IT project manager. And what this person does is it's my job to roll out a piece of software, no matter what it is. It can be an SOS app on a cell phone. And my job is to manage all the key players that build the app and then roll it out to the people that want it. I'm to get my team to stick to strict timelines, manage budgets, the whole nine, you name it. And I did this position more out of fun than for the salary, because you get paid more upon experience for that position than you do, oh, I just want to do it. So I did it to do it because I wanted the fun that came with it. I am naturally nosy. So part of being a project manager is being in the know. You have to know everything.
You could just say curious. You're curious. Your curiosity allows you to develop those skills. Your curiosity allows you to actually be able to understand how that broken computer will get put together, or if it
I mean,
won't
you
come back
get that
together.
too, but
Yeah.
again, best of both worlds. I get to please both the business side of that and my own personal side of that. So I did that, and then I did that for about another year. And then finally I sat down and I said, well, what are all the skills that I have? What are on my tool belt?
Mm-hmm.
And I started looking through things and I'm like, what did I like doing the most? I'm like, well, database work was pretty good. Working with code was pretty good. So I started looking to see what would utilize my skills the most. And I ran upon my company that I'm at now. And they had a position out there. And on LinkedIn, it was something totally different than what I'm titled now. But I didn't make the post. I didn't put the job up, so I can't tell you why it was that way. But it was actually put up as a developer, a back end developer. So I said, okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. So I go through the interview, we get through it, and they say, yeah, we wanted a developer, but we're looking for more of a hybrid. I'm like, well, what's that? And they're like, well, we still want you to do some database work, and we still want you to utilize your code, your code skills, because we need you to read it. But we also need you to use things like console apps and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I know how to do all of that. And they said, sure, we're going to ask you a couple questions. So believe it or not, I bombed the questions, but because I knew what I was talking about, and they saw that my level of knowledge was higher than what was needed, they hired me anyway. So I get in there and they hand me my name tag, and I'm like, what's this? This is not, they're like, remember, we need a hybrid. Don't worry about what's on LinkedIn. We need a hybrid. And I'm like, okay, all right. So what's my title? So right now I am a senior analytic consultant. And the reason why that is because my business deal with analyzing data for other companies. Those companies can range from logistics companies to your mattress places to even your colleges that you went to. So what my company does is, let me take a step back. You have a company that hires a call center. And those are the people that call and say, I have an issue with the mattress that I just bought, for example. It's too hard when I know I ordered a plush one. I didn't like the man behind the desk. He was rude to me that day. Well, on a scale through 1 through 10, how was he? How rude was he? Yeah, he was about a 7. How hard was the mattress from a 1 through 10? Yeah, that was a 10. Hard as nails. So you get through about a 30 question questionnaire. The client or that business will hold that data, and it just sits in a database somewhere. So that's where my company comes in. And they say, what you doing? Why you sitting on that data you have there when you can be using it to better your customer service, to better your product? Um, so they say, all right, we'll hire you. We'll take you on. So what ends up happening is the first thing I do is take all that data and put it in buckets. So I take all the data about the representative, I put them in one bucket. I take all the data about the mattress and put it in another bucket. I take all the data about your commute, put it in other buckets, and so on and so on. And I start running statistics on that data, the class we both dropped. So
I went back. I went back.
so
I passed it.
I say simple math now, but I do some simple math on that. Your means, your skewed lefts, your skewed rights, your top two box. For people that don't know, is a top two box. Say if you have a questionnaire and it has a range for one of the questions to be 1 through 10. I'm saying give me the top two most picked choices of that question. So that could be 10 and 9, that they really love the mattress, or it can be 1 and 2. They really hated the mattress. So I run those numbers, and at that point, I have the data that you want to see. But to most people, they don't want to see it in just raw data. They don't want to see an Excel sheet that says, oh, okay, for this representative, he got a 98%. And that's not really showing the value either. Anybody can open up an Excel sheet and say, all right, I'm paying this company $10 million to do this when I can do it myself. So that's where I come in double time and I say, all right, I'm going to build a website. So what I do is I build the client a website that has pretty bar graphs and charts and where you were at on January of 2018 to January of 2021. And did you progress in your customer service or did you digress? And so forth and so on. I sit in front of the client and I am able to visually represent their path with their company. Like, this is the path you're taking. You're going up. You actually see it going up year after year. You want to go deeper? We can actually do a filter on this website, and I can even take you month after month where your graph either goes way up or way down because you had some faulty product or things are happening with the pandemic that's going on, and that's the reason why your sales went down. I can show all of that. And for my position, I work 100% remotely. I sit at home. I don't have anybody looking over my shoulder. The tell of if I'm doing my work or not is if the client says I want my website by July 4th, and I'm sitting here and I don't have a website done by July 3rd, then I'm in trouble. Other than that, as long as you're doing your job and you're able to give a working product before the client requests it or before the client is wanting it to be done, your job is complete. And the range for my job is anywhere from $75,000 to $85,000 a year.
Okay. You're a self-starter is what I'm hearing based off of this position. And I'm sure they had to mention you have to be motivated. You have to be able to be great with time management and willing to go ahead and get something done, even if you don't necessarily have anyone making sure you're going to get it done by that deadline, right?
Yep.
Okay. I also need to know when you're talking about this website, because obviously you're building a website with the data, but am I, the customer, going to go to that website, or is this a website solely for them to truly see essentially the data version of their company? That's what it is. It's a website solely for the actual person who's giving the product and doing services for customers, not for the customers to land on.
Yep.
Okay. Is this similar to them giving you all this information and you bringing charts and things like that and showing this is why you failed this year, these are the good things? It's essentially
exactly what it is.
So why do they need a website for it then?
To be honest, it's more of a personal preference. Some companies don't want a website. Some people just want a flat file. They just say, here, we'll pay you half that. You just put it in a way that we can read it. But that's not the direction the company really wants to go in. Mm-hmm. So we have some legacy companies that we work with because we wasn't always this website building company. We have been around for a long time. So before building websites, we did just that. We made pretty charts in Excel or didn't even do that. We just stuck the data in Excel and what they call it, a pivot table. We create a pivot table in Excel, gives you an output. There you go. Done. But these are not the times anymore, unfortunately. But fortunately for us looking for jobs, this is the time where people want more of a visual. They want things to be more in their face. This is what it is. And I don't want to do a bunch of looking to find it. And that's where my expertise come in at. It's you don't have to do all the looking. You want to know why you have a bad rating? Boom, here it is. And we have the data to prove it. If you want to see the data, no problem. We'll give it to you. But you gave us the data. So you're proving it yourself. We're just doing the work for you. So it's in the end, it all works out.
Okay. Well, based off of what you're saying, I have some ideas, but I don't want to make the assumption. And of course, I'm not mentioning your company, but and if you say your company in the process of this and it's just vague, whatever, but name several large companies or similar companies that do work like this.
The only one that I can think of off the top of my head is a company called Autodex.
Okay.
They do the same thing, but to be honest, I've never heard of any of these companies until I joined the team of where I'm at now. Gotcha. So I didn't even know how big of a thing this really was until I joined the company. I always knew you could call someone and somebody say, hey, you've called Macy's help desk. What's going on? Oh, I bought this perfume. I opened it. There's only half a bottle in here. So being on the outside, being the customer, we always know that that's there. But you never know what happens beyond that. And now I do. I know what happens beyond that. I know where that data goes. I know who has to sign off on that data. I know who gets in trouble for that data. I know a lot of stuff that happens beyond the person picking up that phone and saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry that happened to you. We'll do what we can to make sure your experience is better next time.
And you're the person doing what they can to make sure the experience is better next time. Not actually doing the work, but alerting them on what they can do.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm the run tell that person.
Well, because I've interviewed him, I can say his name on here. So hopefully if you all are keeping up, or if you haven't, go back to season 1 and you'll find him on there. Irvin Carney, that is. Irv actually did one of these interviews. How much, I don't know if you know much about what he does. It seems like you all are in similar industries. Obviously not the same because he's not building websites. He is a part of a company like Nielsen, 8471, those type of companies that perfect example. So Dave's in Cleveland and all these other places. We live in Cincinnati. You got Publix in the South or here in Kroger or whatnot. You got these cards that you swipe, your personal data, your phone number in there to get these points, but they're getting specialized coupons based off of all the information that they're collecting off of you. Irv is a data engineer, and it sounds like he's doing a different version of the job. His job is based off of collecting data of what people are currently ordering. You're getting the feedback of the experience. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Okay. That's what I was hearing, because I'm like, when it comes to this whole thing, there's different levels to it, but there's also different perspectives that are needed, and you're covering the other side. Okay, cool. Yep. So we had Irvin here, and then we got you, and now the picture's starting to come together of the complete customer service image when you want something versus how you felt about something. So one of the cool things about your job is you're a self-starter, right?
Yep.
Okay, and as a self-starter, what does that schedule actually look like?
I can work at any point. I try to get on at 7:30-ish in the morning and be done by like 3:30 in the afternoon. But literally, as however you want to cut it, I can wake up at 3 in the morning and get to work. I can cut my shift in half. I can work the morning, go out, do something in the midday, come back and work from 6 to 9. It's however I want to cut those shifts up. Other than that, it's cool.
Yeah. I definitely feel you and understand where you're coming from, because as a person who's building this company and is doing every single level of logistics and procurement for this company, I definitely know that during the day, the most important thing is to be able to be in contact with my customers, knowing what they want, being in contact with my manufacturers, knowing what they need to get taken care of, where they are in the process. But when I don't need either one of them and I have to do the other part of my job, which is takeoffs and looking at the construction drawings and seeing what items are in there that I need to go ahead. And the takeoff is essentially the information in which I collect in order to procure, which means purchase these specific items, supplies that my customer needs for their project. And I can do that like, and this is not good, work-life balance. I know this is very important for people to have a work-life balance, but I'm also currently doing this interview right after work. And I'm going to, guess what, do a takeoff when I get off of this. So work-life balance is all about whether or not you like your work and if you have the balance to make sure you take care of those things outside of your work. And I do that too. So anybody want to critique in that, that's my feedback right now. But I could do better. I ain't gonna lie about it. I could do better with the work-life balance. It's a whole lot of work and there's a whole lot of life. But the balance ain't the best. But I'm also not complaining. Nonetheless, man, yeah, that's something that people really miss out on the value of, because people are so excited about that 9 to 5 or the 8 to 4 and punching in and punching out. Man, I hate punching out. Like clocking in and clocking out. Ooh, I've had several jobs in the past, and when they told me that, my energy shifted. It was a different vibe. It was like I ain't really feeling this. Like I'd much rather do the salary because, frankly, I like what I do. I like being good at what I do. I like providing the value that is actually going to be worth my time. Now, if I'm punching in like a lawyer and you paying me for every single hour, I mean, I ain't punching in, but they're billing for every single hour. Oh, I'm cool with that. But with those other jobs that's punching in, they like, no, you only can work from this time and this time. For that person who don't like what they do, they need that so they can get done and be gone. For a person who takes pride in their work, you're limiting what I can do. You're limiting my creativity. And I need to take that cap off so I can continue to make this thing better. I take pride in what I do. And that's one of those cool things about our jobs is we can take a little bit more pride. Sometimes we may have a lot more time. Sometimes you under the knife and you got to get it done now. Mm-hmm. We mentioned Facebook earlier on, and I mentioned this to you before. We got so many social networks out there, so many social platforms. Why would a person who knows how to, and this is a genuine question I've always had, because it's like Facebook is taking over the world. I mean, obviously you have Black Planet, you have MySpace. I never had a Black Planet. I just always heard about it. I never even looked at it, if I'm honest with you. I'm not going to sit here. So if you start going on a tangent about Black Planet, I cannot relate. I'm sorry, y'all, who feel a type of way. Now, I don't know about Black Planet. I wasn't with it. All right. I didn't know nothing about it. But I knew MySpace, you got Twitter, IG, Snapchat, all these different platforms. I always wonder, why is it that people aren't making more of these things? Because it's not like these people are, no disrespect to those people, because I need y'all to continue promoting y'all platforms. It's no disrespect to those people, but they're not that special. If you know how to do it, you can do it. So why is it that you haven't just made a social media platform? Is it really that hard? I know that when it came to Facebook and social, I mean, once again, in the movie Social Network, is it Social Network? Whatever, the Facebook movie, they actually talked about how when it crashed, we don't crash. They have people always working around the clock. Those people who are on premise, as you said, to make sure this thing is operating. Is that the problem with creating these websites? Is you do have a job that you need to do,
right?
And these platforms take a lot out of you. Like, what's the story behind why it doesn't seem like there's just tons of Facebooks out there posts?
The biggest reason is bandwidth. To build something
literally,
like that,
literally bandwidth, or our physical human bandwidth?
Physical, you being able to sit down and actually do this hands-on and build it yourself, bandwidth. Gotcha. Trying to build a website like that is, to be honest, it's going to take you years to do. You're going to have to sit down and literally map everything out. And believe it or not, if you know the history on Facebook, Facebook wasn't a public thing when it first rolled out.
Harvard, right?
It was a college thing. Yeah. You had to be in college. You had to have a college ID, all that kind of stuff. And the thing was, he built it while he was in college.
Yeah.
And
prior
when
to
he
dropping
got
out, by the way.
what's up?
Prior to dropping out, by the way. He didn't finish college. One of the richest men in the world did not finish college.
So that thing is, once he built it, it was like, okay, I built me something solid here, but he was running out of bandwidth. So he was able to get so far with it. Mm-hmm. And once everybody saw the value in it, people started adding on. Oh, I can do this. Now, there's nothing you almost can't do in Facebook now. You can even go shopping in Facebook now. It's they even have a dating link up now in Facebook. You name it, you can almost do it in Facebook. Yeah, you can actually go to your.
They got eHarmony on Facebook?
Basically, you can pick up your phone right now, and literally there is a dating section in Facebook now. So.
Hey, we both married, bro. I've been out the game so long. I didn't know nothing about it. I ain't even looking at it. I don't know nothing about
it. But there's that. And then the only other part is it takes money. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, you need someone to host your product. You need someone to fund your product. There's only so much that I can do on a laptop. And then from there, it's all about takeoff. Then you got to have people believe in your product. I can go out and create the biggest but most legit Facebook knockoff there is. And it can work, it can do whatever. But if nobody wants to log into it, it's just dead work. And you fall victim to that as well. Why take a chance on this app when I know Facebook works flawlessly? And
I can answer that question. I can answer that question easily because I'm tired of Facebook having access to all my content, which is why you have the privacy wars taking place between Facebook and Apple, where they don't want to have this. For everybody who needs this, who are like me, let me give you the heads up. One of the platforms out there so you don't get tracked that I use is DuckDuckGo. Now, I'm sure at some point somebody gonna be like, there's a way that they're getting information from there. But oftentimes, DuckDuckGo lets you know all the platforms that are trying to access the data that you're actually putting into DuckDuckGo, but they're blocking it. Now, I'm no IT guy, so I don't know how accurate and how true this is, or if this is just promotional information that they put out there to bribe us to go support their platform. But DuckDuckGo, from what I see, is what I use over Safari, over Google.
Just open up Google and hit Control-Shift-N and do incognito.
I don't trust it. It's still the same company, bro. It's the same company. You telling me the company that wants my data is going to ignore it? No. I think incognito and privacy and obviously you're the IT person, you know way better than I do. But I'm just giving you my conspiracy mind.
Exactly.
I think the incognito and what is it? Google doesn't have incognito. That's somebody else.
IE has in private.
Yeah. That one. I think those two are just so when people crack those jokes, I don't want people to be sitting here going in there and figuring out what I've been looking at. So I'm not going to show that. I think that's only for us not to be able to see what somebody else is looking at on that online platform through Google. So you're not giving away what you Googling to the people in your house, but it's in Google's platform. There's no chance Google, who wants all your info, ain't like, oh, okay, yeah, it's private in here. It's just me and you in here. It's just, you thought it was just you. No. Out there is all of us. In here it's just me and you. Now me and you is going to become me and you and everybody behind me. That's my perspective. Now, I could be clearly wrong, and I'm starting to get the vibe that you feel like I'm wrong, but everybody got in this world after COVID got a certain level of conspiracy theory in them. So conspiracy theorists in them. And just for clarity, just because it's a conspiracy don't mean it's a lie. And I ain't talking to him. I'm talking to y'all that think conspiracies are all wrong. Because if you look up the history of who got, you know what, we get deep in this. I'm going to let it go. I'm just saying conspiracy just means there was a conspiring act. Does not mean it's a lie. That's all I'm saying. Now, this right here is an actual conspiracy where I ain't got no facts. All right, bro. Man, this is really fun. I'm enjoying myself. What is it that people may be getting wrong about the IT space, about the website developing? Because everyone, of course, wants to have a website these days. That's why Wix is out there. That's why WordPress has been out there forever. That's why there's constantly new websites popping up for people to create websites. So is there anything that you think people are missing in understanding to website creation and the simplicity behind it and the actual complexity that may be behind it as well?
Don't let me downplay it. For those companies that you've mentioned, I personally don't use them because I feel like they're limited as to what you can do. But if you just take the time to just open up Notepad and just start, they have something out there called Bootstrap. That is a website template you can pull down. You'll pull it down, you can edit it, you can chop it up every which way you want. And I prefer that over people like Wix and stuff like that, because Wix is, to me, is kind of cookie cutter. They give you certain templates, you pick one you like. It's like picking out a birthday card. I like that one. And I can put a picture here, put some notes there, it's saved, done. That don't appeal to me like Bootstrap does, where if you just take 5 minutes of the day to just read a couple lines of script and say, oh, I can make this entire screen do a backflip with 8 words. And there you go. You have something totally customizable. So I just think it's more fear for people that don't know what they're getting into. And once you get over the fear, you can do anything.
Yeah, but you also have and you are downplaying it now because you're also ignoring the fact that you do have a whole lot of information that makes you a skilled individual at what we're discussing. I have none of those skills. So if I don't go to Wix or if I don't go to WordPress, I'm sitting here staring at the screen trying to figure out what the ones and the zeros are, thinking that Neo gonna pop out or Morpheus, and I got nothing. I just got I got the biggest 10000000000. I got nothing here, son. Like, so I hear you, but they're giving us an option. Why did it take y'all so long compared to Wix? Why did it take y'all so long to create this website? Is it because we ain't giving you enough information? Or is it because it's just what you're doing behind what you're building that Wix and WordPress? Now, WordPress is mad breakable, which is why I don't really rock with WordPress sometimes. Unless you really know what you're doing. But is there a reason that it takes longer than others to go ahead and create a website?
Because it's all
may
manual.
even be basic.
It's all manual. It's all scripted language and stuff like that. So it takes what you can do in 5 minutes on Wix. It take me weeks to do, trying to do it the way I learned in a UC classroom. So it can be done, and I can probably make it look 10 times better. But that come with, again, time and money, which is why no one out here has ever tried to recreate Facebook. It'd take a lifetime for somebody to do that and get it up to the speed of where Facebook is.
I just don't believe it, and I'm challenging somebody out there to do it. And if y'all do it successfully, go ahead and just say, "I'm man." Hit me at "I'm man" saying, "Let me do."
Now, I want to make sure that statement is clear. You saying someone? That's someone.
All right, you're right. Some of y'all, because I don't mean one, because
there you
I
go.
can see one person doing this is really hard. Perfect example of why it's important. Like, can I get on soapbox real quick?
Go ahead.
All right. I'm so tired of people talking about being independent. Independent is not the freaking goal. That's not how life works. This is how life works. And if you need to know where I got this content from, a huge portion of this comes straight from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is how it works. As a child, you're dependent. You need things. You have to get something from someone else. As an adult, and as you're moving into adulthood, You want to become independent so you know how to take care of yourself. That is very, very important. But let's not get this confused. Self-made millionaire is a great term, but I can't, or you can't, get $1 without another person giving you $1. You don't just poof and get $1. Independence is great to be able to take care of yourself and, in theory, survive if you knew how to survive. We are domesticated in our first world. And frankly, if Kroger's decided they didn't want to provide us food, you ain't eating for a while. You don't know how to farm, unfortunately. Some of y'all don't know how to hunt. And even if you knew how to hunt, if you live in the city, what you gonna hunt? A squirrel? A rat in the backyard? Like what you hunting? We need people. Everything I'm wearing, I like what I wear. I like what I do. Heck, even me getting a haircut for the first time since the end of the beginning of the pandemic. I need people. You need people. Interdependence is the next level. Independence is not the goal. Interdependence is the goal. Interdependence is the point in which you recognize I'm capable of doing this, but it's better to multiply myself with another person who's capable of doing it without me. But when we come together with synergy, we create something greater. I individually absolutely can build one of the largest buildings. It might take my entire life to do that, though. Now, if I get together with the proper people, we can build this thing in a matter of a year or two, if not faster. Like the Bird's Nest, which was a beautiful Olympic location, I want to say in China back for that one year that was beautiful, and now it's abandoned. It's abandoned because it took them no time to do it. And that's frankly the sad part about Olympics. The Olympics come in and wreck your city and your location. But nonetheless, interdependence is the goal. That's how life works. We don't need like people sitting my wife, I'm supposed to need her and she's supposed to need me. That way we can make each other's life a little bit easier because independently I can get it done. But should I be getting this done when I could be doing something else? We cover each other's holes and make sure perfect harmony takes place in this thing. I just had to do that. I'm sorry. I'm done. I just had to get on that soapbox real quick because interdependence is something that people have to talk about. And you keep talking about this whole platform creation. And I know you in the house behind the screen dolo right now, but you got supporting cash behind you too at your office. And the person who wants to make Facebook and can create Facebook is a person that recognizes independently. It may take them forever and not successful at it, but interdependently, you can become Steve Jobs with Woj, and you also continue to build that team up from that garage into something great. You become Jeff Bezos from that little desk in that little location, and then you create you have a whole warehouse, and you have a whole bunch of people creating all the like. Ugh. Okay, I'm done. All right, bro. Let's get to my rapid questions. All right. This is a round that I've been creating. You're probably the fourth person. Don't get me lying to you. I'm still in the process of editing it, but you're one of the fourth people I've done this with. And I wish I would do this with everyone else because it's so much fun. So rapid questions, you just answer it quickly. I might have a question or two in between just because that's me. But answer as quickly and concisely as possible. All right.
Okay.
All right. Favorite sport?
Football.
Everybody's football. Favorite book?
I don't have one.
Last book you read?
Been a while.
Okay. Favorite hobby?
Fishing.
If you could speak with anyone, dead or alive, not related to you, who would it be?
MLK.
Okay. What would your dream position be?
My dream position would be the next position above me, and that would be managing a team of senior analysts, which is why I'm in school now.
Okay. In school for what? What's the degree you're working on?
I'm working on my master's degree in management of information technology.
Okay. song that fits this phase of life. And if a song is too complicated for you, you can say an entire album. It's a cop-out, but I know everybody don't listen to music as much as I do all the time and can't just rattle that off. So in your professional life, not your personal life, I need to say this time, because if anybody saw the last interview, they saw it was personal. In your life, not just your personal life, what's that song?
Motivation. Ace Hood.
Okay. What is the change you want to see in the world?
Hospitality. I hope that gets better.
Hospitality. Okay, you got to elaborate on that, because that can mean anything.
You ever heard people say, "Oh, it's nothing like that Southern hospitality"?
Mm-hmm.
To me, it isn't. Down south, and mind if I get on my soapbox a little bit?
Be great.
Down south, in my hometown, I don't knock on anybody's door if my stomach start hurting. Can I use the bathroom? Oh, sure, come on in. Or I'm not afraid to say hi to anybody down there without some type of attitude.
Mm.
I've only been in Cincinnati now going on, I don't feel like doing them out, just say 10 years. And I've ran into the entire spectrum of attitudes on just trying to greet someone. What do you want? Are you looking at me like that? Why are you even here? And it's like, what happened once I got on the other side of Kentucky, getting into Ohio? It's something about halfway through Kentucky getting over here, just things went haywire. And I'm just using that as an example. I'm, like you said, we're married, but when I wasn't dating, briefly, but
we're not gonna stop to elaborate on that at all.
But the thing is, I don't see people treating people gentle as I think they should anymore. I mean, I think the world would be a lot better if people show more grace and patience to each other.
Facts. And that's interesting. We're at the end of the actual rapid questions, which is why it's cool that you wanted to get on your soapbox then. I don't know, bro. I mean, I'm a city boy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am. And I've visited people. I've spent time in those rural areas in the South a couple of times. And the South is its own monster, frankly. But that's not the point. I question whether or not the significance of that Southern hospitality, because in a big city, we have everything here. Like, you have access to so much right next to you, right in front of you, right at your fingertips. While potentially in those smaller towns, you know everybody there. You know what's going on. So if you are rude to John, you gonna know that John is upset every single day. That John is upset, and in fact, somebody down the street that wasn't even in your business might be like, "Yo, John is upset with you."
Yep.
And that's a problem, because y'all got to go to church together. You're gonna see him at the grocery store. You're not escaping exactly John how it is in your day-to-day life. So y'all need to have that communal experience when you ain't escaping each other in that area.
That's exactly how it is.
Yeah, it takes us nothing. Like, if I say I don't want to talk to you no more, poof, vamoose, you're gone. Unless we bump into each other. But the event is so filled with people, most likely, that I ain't even got to see you there.
My hometown is 12,000 people or less.
I didn't know that, but you're making my point.
Exactly. That's why I'm agreeing.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this thing up. I'm going to ask, based off of your route, because I know you went the untraditional route to get to where you are. Yep. Was there a faster way to get there?
The faster way would have been going straight into UC, going for my bachelor's in information technology, and trying to be a software developer out the gate. Mm-hmm. That is the quickest way to get to where I'm at.
Could you have done internships during college? Because it seems like one of those jobs that allows you to have internships in order to get that.
Yes, and that's what I did. But at the time, that's when you're going for internship, you and 300 other students are going for those same internships. So I had to get what I could get.
And that's what I'm saying. I know you had an internship, but similar to what we mentioned earlier of the smaller company and the corporate company, sometimes just that person working at Duke, the engineers decide they're going to work at Duke, they automatically get a job after college because they did such a great job. And Duke is Duke. Like Duke Energy, for those who didn't know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Duke University. Yeah, so I'm just curious if the actual company might play a role and could allow you to be more further ahead in the position. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. But is that the case too? Like if a person chooses wisely with their internships, it could help?
Mm-hmm. You can internship and be a software developer out the gate. And if you're spot on with what you're doing, you're hired on the spot. And then with that comes time though. They're not gonna, if you're looking for the salary range with that, if you want to stick with that, you're not gonna you're gonna have to put at least 2 to 3 years under your belt before jumping up here.
A person that does your job, I'm going straight to the top. A person that does your job at Facebook, because Facebook has Instagram, they have WhatsApp, they have all these large companies that are going to have to collect so much information. A person who does your job at Facebook, what is the potential salary cap for them?
Oh, shoot.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted to make sure it's clear, because he's not in those large companies. There are large companies. He mentioned 75 to 85, but I'm sure you take that cap right off when you get to those type of companies. We in the hundreds. You might be starting off with 190 potentially.
Yeah, like 175.
Yeah. And so that's why I asked, because people need to recognize he said 75, but we've already highlighted it's about where you are as in the company. You switch to the right company.
Yeah,
you're in a different position. All right. So as we're talking about younger you, though, we want to do a takeaway in our wrap up. What would be that thing you would tell the younger version of yourself to help you get to success faster? Not the same as the other one. We're talking about faster way to get to this position that you're currently in, like as the job. But for you to have been successful in life, it seems like you have a level of success, and there's always a thing that we could have done better in our life. So what is that thing for you?
It would have been 2 things. Stay focused is the biggest one. I kept going in and out of focus. And once you go down a path, stick to it. Don't back up and then choose another one. And I learned that the hard way. I tell everybody that and that's not just for getting to this position. I mean that across the board on all fronts of life. Once you choose a path, stick to it. See it through to the end, and you'll get to where you need to be.
Yeah. Did you have a mentor?
Once I got into the work field, yes.
You think that would have helped you at some point move along? Could have gave you a little bit more guidance?
The mentors I had, I don't think that from a skill set perspective, I think they pointed me in the right direction of how to get the skills I needed for my position. But with them being in different realms of IT, they didn't know how to steer me to get to where I needed to be, though. They just, you need all of these on your tool belt. Once you get your tool belt filled up, then pick a route to go to get where you want to go. So for them, it was more of gaining experience and being what somebody needs. They were all about you want to be profitable to any company you go to. And that's what my mentors kind of like grudged on was, hey, you just don't want to be an asset at this company. You want to be able to put in a resume and be an asset anywhere you go. So if you only know our product and what we do, then where you're going to go. Yeah, it's nice. You know our stuff. That's fine. But you go to Google, you go to Facebook, you go to Instagram, they're like, yeah, we're not doing that here. So there's that.
Okay. Well, my takeaway is similar to what you said. Just keep going. I mean, we're talking about a person who started off their life with a vision of wanting to be in IT. May not understanding the specifics, but knowing what you want. Know what you want. And in the process of knowing what you want, you may not be specific enough, but as you explore your interests, you will find the road that is right for you and the path that is right for you. Now, that road got potholes in it. We always got potholes in it. If you're lucky and you have people who know you and the relationships you build, they might be able to be that bridge and those pothole fillers so you ain't got to take those big bangs to your car. But if you have to take those big bangs and your tire blow out, go to the side of the road, put that spare tire on that boy, and keep on moving. And at some point, get your mind right by going back and fixing that tire and get a new tire put on. You don't have to live in hardship, but at the same time, as long as the hardship is moving you in the right direction, chances are you're going to be happier with your life because you're going to be fulfilled. This man decided to drop out of school. That's a decision. But after he dropped out, he recognized his vision was still there and he wanted more. And he did something about it. He didn't complain about it. He did something about it. He went. Many people who are too prideful to get their GED. He went not only get his GED, then he got his bachelor's. Now he's working on his master's. And I've once heard somebody say, no one's asking what grade you got in stats class. Ironically, it was stats class. No one's asking you what you got in stats class. They're asking you, can you do what we're hiring you to do? And after everything, the answer is yes. I appreciate y'all for watching. I appreciate you, man, for
I almost passed the collection plate around after that one.
You said what?
I almost passed the collection plate around after that one.
I appreciate it, bro. Well, anyways, y'all know how it goes. 2 of these.
Yes, sir.
Hey, bro.